And that's the races that I grew up watching. And we haven't had one of those in a long time.
Following is a production of the Garage Area.
Welcome into the garage area. This is our All-Star Race post-race show, and for the first time in a little while, I'm excited to talk about this race with Ryan. Uh, Not that I have anything against Ryan, just I'm excited about the racing for once. Uh, we actually did an All-Star Race preview show that really ended up being more of like a mid-season update. So if you get a chance and you're interested in that, check it out. I'll see if Ryan can post the link here. If not, it'll just be in the description, or you can go to our channel and check it out. And take a look at that if you have any interest. But Ryan, North Wilkesboro Speedway this weekend, All-Star race. Our picks finished 1-2, and not in the order that I was hoping that they would, but it was an interesting weekend. I got quite a bit to say about the race. I'm curious to know what your take is. Let's just talk about our picks right off the bat. I picked Joey Logano because I thought that, hey, it's the All-Star race. Our picks don't count against us. He won the race last year. I felt like he had a shot to win it this year, and for a long portion of the day, it looked like he was going to have the opportunity to do that, and just kind of got away from him there at the end. Overall, Joey finished second. I scored 0 points. And your pick, Christopher Bell, ends up winning the race. Tell me again, why did you pick Christopher Bell?
I just he was coming off a great finish. Probably one of the better short track drivers we have on the circuit right now, and I just I just figured that you know what he's been a good driver for me, so I just kind of picked him. I didn't really know what his results were there last year, but I figured a short track, and it was just he was a almost a shoe in.
Did you think that when he and Noah Gragson made contact on that last pit stop that he was done for?
um, Not necessarily. I've seen cars hit worse and still be fine. I mean, I was a little worried, but I just figured, well, whatever happens, happens. It's not that big of a deal for me. But um,
Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I just figured if they're staying out, they must think it's all right. So
Yeah. Um, Chase Elliott, where did he finish in this race?
fifth.
Fifth. Did you feel like he was going to have a shot to win it at any point?
Um, I don't. To me, I didn't feel like he barely had a top five car in my opinion.
Oh, okay.
Um, that was how I saw it. You know, I feel like he held up. You know, Ryan Blaney, I think, had a faster car than what he was able to show. He was always on Chase's bumper. It felt like, you know, you see a slower car kind of holding up the pack. You know, you'll see the gap to a car ahead, and then there'll be a line of cars. And I feel like Chase for a lot of this race was kind of that first car in line that he was just fast enough that nobody could get around him, but slow enough that he couldn't catch the guys in front of him. So that's what it looked like to me. But that was what I saw.
Okay. Um, because you had Bell as your pick, I'm sure you were rooting for him, but was there anybody else that you were like, I wouldn't be upset if they won up near the front of of the pack?
Um, I mean, Brad Keselowski when he initial started the race and he was leading laps. Um, I don't trying to think who else would have been up there, but
I mean, Larson
look,
got out front on a pit stop.
well, yeah, Larson, Byron, he was kind of in the mix there for a little bit. That's about how all I saw with it.
Okay. So that's where our picks ended up. Obviously, it doesn't do us any good other than it should tell you, the viewer, that if you're looking to make some good picks this year and who's going to finish well in each race, the garage area's been hot. Didn't start off the year super strong, but it's rounding into form. The problem is you got to figure out which one of us you're going to follow if you make those picks. Because if I'm on, Ryan's off, and if Ryan's on, which is what the case is most of the time, then I'm off. Uh, but we just ended up with one of those that didn't really matter, being the All-Star race for points, and we finished 1-2. Have we done that at all before this year? I feel like we've been close.
With Larson and Hamlin at Bristol, we finished one
That's
two.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I was gonna say I thought that had happened at one point. Anyways, uh, as far as the rating of the race, I looked at Jeff Gluck's poll, and it was an 84 percenter. 84% of people thought that yes, it was a good race. You're negative Nancy all the time, and I'm curious to know what your take was on this race.
I really thought it was a good race. but I think it was because of the way the cautions felt and the strategy felt and the tire differences. Um, I mean, restarts themselves, you would have two wide racing side by side, and I thought it was interesting. Obviously, it was a top line dominant, and it was still hard to pass. Um, but for as far as short track racing, I think this was the best short track race we've had in a long time. Um, I love, I don't know, the starts is almost kind of reminding me of Bristol, where the high line is becoming the dominant fast line, and you, um, these guys at Bristol would practice to get their cars the best they could on the bottom, so that way if they had to make a pass, they could run the bottom. This is almost something I'm seeing that I feel like maybe they might have to start doing. It. Let's say they're talking about making this a points paying race or something like that. Um, these guys are starting to almost like rip the wall with that progressive banking. Um, but they could run side by side for many laps and stuff. And I thought it was an intriguing, interesting race. I thought it was a decent race. I wouldn't. There is still definitely issues with this car, and they still talked about aero at this track and a little bit of aero blocking and stuff. But I think this track and tire combo that they have going on is a step in the right direction.
Do you know how many lead changes there were without looking?
I want to believe they said it was like at least 15 or something like that.
Do you buy that as being legitimate lead changes?
Um, I feel like a lot. I don't know about half of them, but a lot of them were based off of pit road,
Yeah.
tiring strategies or having faster pit crew and stuff like that. That's how I think it was. But um, I definitely the leader by far had the best advantage.
Yeah, I agree. The number was 18 is what I heard of the different lead changes, and I would have never guessed that because I felt like Brad Keselowski was out front a while, then Logano was out front a while, and Bell was out front a while, and I would have said there was 4 or 5 other guys that led just due to pit road strategy and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that there was 18 lead changes. That just doesn't seem like they didn't match the race that we saw, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. Because I know, well, Kyle Larson, he got the lead because of pit road. I'm trying to remember. Christopher Bell took the lead over Logano because of pit road at one point. One of the lead changes happened because Bell took the inside on a restart. He did that twice in a row. The first restart, Bell made it work. The next restart, Logano took the lead back from Bell. So I
Huh.
think that lead change was based on a restart decision. Um, and So I mean, I think the lead changes number could be a little bit deceiving.
Yeah. What'd you think of the cautions? Both the All-Star caution and the promoter's caution.
Um, you know, I don't know. It's the All Star race. I expect those cautions. I would have liked to see what these cars and tires did on a very long run. Um, Especially when they come up to the promoter's caution. Uh, they were talking about Bell running Logano back down. And it would have been interesting that battle on the same tires and how that would have played out, which I think could have gave us either we could have either known at that point that if they're on the same tires, Bell's not getting around Logano, or proven that Logano used up his stuff and Bell ran him down and passed him. That could have been a good proving point had that caution came out. Now, in regards to what I think of people calling the promoter's caution a gimmick, the All Star races had gimmicks for my whole life. There'd always been stages here and this and that and inverts. And if you win this stage, you start in this position and this and that. So people arguing that they're adding gimmicks. The All Star race has been gimmicky since forever. So I don't have nothing against that, but I kind of wish I could have been able to see what this track was capable of on a long run.
Okay, let's hold our place on that topic because I want to talk about that. Um, what is your ultimate rating of the race? Where do you land?
Um, I was thinking about this earlier. I thought, man, I'd give it a 7. But I think I'm just going to go back down to a 6.5 just because I think a day at like yesterday, I was kind of excited. I thought this was cool, but the more I thought about it today, I'm like, man, this only happened because of this and this and that. Like, the tire strategies and restarts and stuff is what made it really intriguing. Um, which it was fine. That can make it a good race, but some of those things thrown in just kind of like, yeah, it was only good because of this. They're only passing because of restarts or this and that. And obviously Bell passed, I say legitimately under green, but he also had fresher tires.
Yeah.
But to me, it was still a good race, a great finish the way it played out. I mean, you're always going to have strategies at all these races. You're not always going to have the honest, pure racing. But I'm just going to go down to a 6.5 just because I know I can still see the issue with this car.
Okay. Mine is I thought about this as I was watching the race. I was like, man, this might be an 8 for me. Like, I really like it. I really liked what I saw play out. I guess for the first time in a very long time, and I understand that I'm a prisoner of the moment and that I'm grading on a curve because of the car that we're forced to watch these guys race with. But that's it was everything that I wanted out of a race. And sure, you can make the argument that, well, okay, it was because of restarts or because cautions fell here or because tires, um, guys are on different tire strategy. Sure, all that, but it still made it a good race, in my opinion. I mean, you can have the reasons be argued about, but actually, as I watched the race and it started to wind down, I'd say probably in the last 130 laps, I bumped it up to a 9. And I think that's where I land. I think this was a 9 out of 10 because, I mean, the racing was just good. And yeah, the only reason why it's not a 10 out of 10 for me is because of the car and because of the fact that the guy out front has an advantage just purely due to the air. And I don't think that that's cool. Like, if Logano was out front and he just was able to pick up the throttle, that much quicker to where he was able to stay in Christopher Bell's lane, and that's why Bell couldn't finish the corner and pass him or get a run or whatever. I'm cool with all that. Like, I think that's great, but it was somewhat of an aerodynamic advantage, and that's the only thing that I didn't like about it. Other than that, this race had everything that I wanted. The tires fell off. Maybe the lap times didn't fall off as much, but tires certainly meant something. Um, Two tires were an advantage, but not nearly as much as four. And you had guys that were staying out at the end. That's actually what lost Logano the race, and guys that were coming down pit road, and you were just hoping that there was going to be enough cars that stayed out that the guys with new tires didn't have enough time to get through the field. And that's the races that I grew up watching. And we haven't had one of those in a long time. And so I don't know, like I said, if I'm just a prisoner of the moment or what, but I'm choosing to say that was awesome, and I'm giving it a 9.
Yeah, I don't fault you there. I just I don't know, maybe the day after seeing some things that I didn't like in the race maybe kind of brought it down for me, but um yeah, that's fine.
I'm glad I got your approval. Uh, so I want to talk about the All-Star race itself. Do you like the way it's set up right now?
Um I don't know. It just there was I didn't like when it was at Charlotte. I kind of didn't. To me, the All Star race is one filled with gimmicks and different throwing things around and things like that. And to me, this is they kind of went to more of a straight race for the. Not that it's a bad thing, but it almost feels like that maybe there should be more gimmicks to it. Um, More things that make things exciting for the All Star race. That this isn't supposed to be something as serious, or there should be more incentives to really go after it. And uh, I just feel like it's just become a straight up race. They talk about even the prize number $1 million is less than some actual real races, points paying races. That the prize hasn't come up with. I guess we'll say inflation if you want
Yeah.
to account for that. I feel like there's some other things that could be probably added to spice the race up.
Jeff Gluck mentioned on their podcast that he wished that it was every however many laps, if it was 10 laps or whatever, the last car running on the racetrack was eliminated. And you just I don't know if you would get it down to, three or four or five guys, and then you have a 10 lap shootout there. Like you throw a yellow, line them up, and 10 to go. I don't know exactly what his idea was there as far as how you declare the winner, but I I don't think that's a terrible idea. But I think I've got a really good idea, and I'm curious to know what you think. You remember how SRX was? It was a car prepared by one crew, and then different drivers might get in that car.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Excuse me. Um, I think that they should do that for each manufacturer. However many drivers there are, there's that many Fords out there, there's that many Chevys out there, there's that many Toyotas out there. You can't switch your manufacturer. So like Bubba Wallace isn't going to drive a Chevy. He's going to be in a Toyota. Chase Elliott's going to be in a Chevy. And Joey Logano is going to be in a Ford, no matter what. But these one, like Paul Wolf in that crew is going to prepare a Ford car. And it's basically you go up and I would televise it or stream it or whatever. They go up and they have to draw for what car they get. So there's an emphasis on the crew chief, there's an emphasis on the crew of preparing and pitting the car, and then you don't know who your driver's going to be. The wheels are spinning.
I'm I'm. What do you mean you don't know what driver you're getting? Because uh, if are you talking about still having the same number of drivers in the race?
You'd
Like,
have the same number of drivers that qualify for the All-Star race, whoever that ended up being. And I think that you'd have to do away with the open and uh, the fan vote and all that. So, like, there's just if there's nine guys in the Cup Series that drive Fords, there's nine Ford cars that show up. But then you have to draw between the drivers to see who's going to get in what car.
mm, I don't know. It just
He's not loving it, folks.
yeah. um, I see what you're saying. I guess. I mean, it would all the cars would have to be equal. Um,
I don't think they would though.
you're
Like
saying,
they're literally as equal as they can be now, being a kit car. And now you're saying this driver is excellent, but like take example Kyle Busch. He's driving the 8 car for RCR. What if he draws a Hendrick car?
oh, so you're saying Hendrick sets up their cars, but you don't know who's going to end up driving their car.
Basically, like Alan Gustafson is going to prepare a car out of the Hendrick shop, but it's not for Chase Elliott specifically.
Hmm. Man, I don't know.
What's your hesitation?
Uh,
Chase Elliott might not be in the nine.
well, not only I so let's say, well, let's say Kyle Busch draws the 5 car or whatever, so he's going to end up driving a car prepared by Cliff Daniels.
Yeah.
Um, what's going to stop? So would Kyle be still be using his own race team for pit stops and things like that?
No, it's the 5 team.
Oh, I see. And there probably could be a lot of sponsor conflicts and
Well,
things
that's
to
the
that.
thing. I think that they're just all either all black or all white race cars. And when you figure out who's gonna drive the car, that sponsor gets put on the hood. So no matter what, Napa's gonna be on Chase Elliott's hood,
But you could have another
but it
driver.
might be an RCR car.
Oh, it'd be yeah, but hmm. But nobody would really know though, would they? Is that what you're getting at?
No,
Like,
that's the thing. Like, yeah, you're not saying this is a Hendrick car. You're basically bringing it down to Chevy, Ford, Toyota is what you're essentially doing. You're taking the team, Hendrick Motorsports, RCR, Colleague Racing, all those guys out of the equation as far as their logo being on a car.
I don't know. It seems like a lot of there's probably a lot of red tape with
You're just
Yeah.
looking at the political side of this, and you're not looking at the would this be fun or not?
Oh, it might be fun, I guess, but
That's all I'm trying to
I
communicate.
guess I'm just
I'm not
trying to
trying to.
think of the
I'm not pitching this to Jim
feasibility.
France tomorrow.
Yeah, I just trying to think of the feasibility of it. I don't think Rick Hendrick's going to want to prepare a car that someone else is going to end up driving. So, um,
Listen to me. If Rick Hendrick pays to prepare the 48 car and Kyle Busch gets in it, he's got a shot at winning that race. Bowman's a hack. He's not going to win anything.
uh, yeah, I don't know. That one's kind of tough to think about. I just don't see how it would work out. I mean, it might be fun to see it'd be fun to see what Kyle Busch would do in a Hendrick car at this point. That's for sure. But, but with the teams and sponsorships, I don't know if Hendrick wants Kyle Busch's sponsorship on his car and Kyle's crew working on that car for Kyle Busch or um yeah, I just feel like there's too many things behind the scenes that are going to be um a conflict to make this a feasible feat, but it would be fun to see different drivers in different cars and see how they perform. That'd be about the only interesting thing about it. But
And that's the only answer that I was looking for. All right. Moving on from that, that was a little more painful than I thought it was going to be. Uh, let me see. I think that one of the things that I thought was interesting from the Open, and there really wasn't a whole lot that stood out to me from the All-Star Open race, but the Ryan Preece penalty. Um, so much rubber had built up on the racetrack that the orange V that gets painted on the track was difficult to see. And he made a move to select his lane for the restart, and they said that he ran over the box, which is a violation for sure. You got to go to the back. His complaint was um, he couldn't see it. Like he's intending to choose this lane, but he can't see the box on the racetrack. That's why he ran over it. And it was objectively difficult to see when you saw how much rubber was caked up on it. And one thing that I thought was funny was after the race, he grabbed a random traffic cone and went over there and stuck it on the wall next to where the choose V is. Did see that video on Twitter. What did you think of the penalty? Did you think it was justified?
well, I mean, he's the only one that hit it. There are markings on the wall of where it's at, and he was below it at one point, and then he turned his car up into the middle of the track and ran it over. So, I mean, I assume they would know where the cone's at all tracks. They should have had better communication. I mean, rule is the rule, I guess. Everyone had the same rules, and he's the only one that missed it. So, I mean, it's a tough break. He probably would have advanced had he not hit that. But
Yeah.
that's all I have to say about it. Is he's the only one that made that mistake. So.
Speaking of hitting things, Brad Keselowski qualified on the pole, uh, had a what looked like a decent car, but not the fastest car. And position didn't matter enough that when he got shuffled back, he wasn't able to work his way back up to the lead. Eventually, did he blow a tire? I couldn't tell that for sure. If he blew a tire, if he just got loose and hit the wall.
I'm not 100% sure. The only one I remember actually blowing a tire was Suarez.
Okay.
Um, so I think he just overdrove his car into the corner and hit the wall.
How, like scale of 1 to 10, how concerned are you that Brad Keselowski is ever going to win a race again?
Um, I'm on the nine at least.
On the nine. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay. You're very concerned.
yeah.
Um,
Anytime I think he's doing somewhat good, like he was at Kansas, was it? Um, it's just maybe he's overdoing it, over trying. I don't know. It just feels like I thought maybe once he got that win at Darlington, was that last year or 2 years
yeah,
now?
that was last
Last
year.
year. Um,
That
I
was
thought
Busher
once
and
he
Reddick ran into each other.
yeah, once he got that win, I thought maybe it might open up him and that team more. And I feel like they just still haven't done much since. Busher got a win there, like RFK, or I meant as a whole. I thought they were on the rise at that point, and it just they're so up and down. It's kind of concerning. The highlight of their team this year is Ryan Preece, and I'm almost worried for Ryan Preece's future, considering Rick Ware's. They're renting that charter from Rick Ware, and they're in a lawsuit over a charter that I believe Cody Ware is driving right now. So who knows where that charter is coming up at the end of the year. So, um, that's but Brad is just, I don't know if he's overdoing it or the team's not up to what it needs to be. I'm not sure what other mistakes are happening behind the scenes, like on pit road and whatnot, that's keeping him from being up front. Um, but it seems like once you see him up front once in a while, and then he isn't finishing off races. So I don't know if it's just him, his whole team. Um, there's just something going on with at least the six, if not the 17 also. So the 60 car has been the highlight of that team this year.
Yeah, for sure. It does feel like that Brad has got speed at times, and then, like you said, when he's close to that opportunity, he just steps over the edge and throws it away somehow. Whether it's on him or the team, something goes wrong one way or the other, and it's just unfortunate for that team. And I feel like Brad's still a very talented driver, and just is um, has limited opportunities to win, and when he does, they're not going well, and that's unfortunate for him. Um, I want to talk about the end of the race here in a second, but what do you think of North Wilkesboro as a whole? Do you think that this needs to be a points race, or should this remain the All-Star race?
I would love to see it be a points race to see what would happen. Um, it felt like any time the leaders got up to some lap traffic to see how it would change the course of the race and make the leader take away some of the leader's advantage with air and stuff like that, maybe make them more equal to the field. Um, I would have. There was only 20 cars on the field. You double that number, they're reaching lapping cars at 20, 25 laps instead of the nearly 100 that they were at. So um, I just felt like anytime they started getting lap traffic, a caution came out or the promoters thing would happen or things like that. So um, you would also have 40 or 20 more cars putting rubber down on the track, moving the lines around more. Um, I think it deserves at least a chance to see what it can do as a points paying race.
Is this the best short track on the schedule?
Um, Best that I can think of right now that I've seen in a while.
That's what Christopher Bell said after he won, and I would happen to agree with him. Um, let's talk about the way that the race ended and Joey Logano a little bit. And Joey had, I would say, the fastest car. And when they threw the promoter's caution, first of all, before we even get to that part, did you think that the Kyle Larson contact with the wall was going to bring out a yellow?
Um, I didn't think so. It didn't really look like he looked like he had his car under control. But
So I guess in the moment I wasn't thinking about it because I knew they were going to throw the promoters yellow because they were showing Michael Waltrip in the stands, and then they showed that Larson bounced off the wall, and I never really like paid that much attention to it because they're like, hey, we're under yellow, and when I was listening to the teardown today, they said that yeah, regardless, Logano's whining about that yellow flag that they threw for the promoter's caution, but they were going to get a yellow flag for Kyle Larson anyways. And I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe they were. And then before we started recording, I watched the highlights on YouTube again just to refresh my memory of the race. I agree. I'm not sure they were going to get a yellow for that. So I'm not sure that that's a claim that can be made that, oh, if they didn't throw the promoters yellow, Larson was going to bring one out anyway. I don't think that's true.
yeah, they may have threw one out to throw one out because of Larson,
Right.
but I don't think it would have warranted a caution. So that's how I saw that one.
I could see it going either way, but I don't know that it was a guarantee that, like, oh, yeah, we're going to get a yellow because of Larson hit the wall. Like,
Yeah.
feels like there wasn't that much to deal with there. Um, so at the end of the race, Logano's fast. He's got a pretty decent lead. Bell is starting to catch him. The promoter's caution comes. Was that what that was? The promoter's caution at that point?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The promoter's yellow comes out, and they're trying to debate whether the cars are going to come down pit road. They're going to take two or four tires. Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney stay out, and there were two cars that were running at the front. Pretty much everybody else came down pit road with a handful of stragglers behind them. That stayed out. And was Ross Chastain one of those cars that stayed out?
I thought he pitted. No,
Okay.
well, I'm not even 100% sure now.
Yeah, because I know he got involved in that wreck and was, I would assume, with it further to the back for a while, but obviously he ended up finishing up front, and I couldn't remember if he was one of the ones that stayed out or not. Either way, not a great not a great decision by Paul Wolf on the box for Logano because everybody else came down and got tires and they ended up overtaking him. And Joey still hung on for second. I thought that they put together a pretty great battle there at the end. Um, yeah, they leaned on each other, but it wasn't like it was egregious in my opinion. So uh, the 20 moves through the traffic that didn't matter rather quickly and then gets to Logano and struggles to pass him, but he does end up getting by him, uses a little bit of force, and ends up winning the race, and rightfully so. And this was after he had contact with Gregson on pit road that damaged his car a little bit, but obviously not enough to hurt him too bad. Um, when they interviewed Logano after the race, he was very upset and said that after the excuse me, after the move that Bell pulled, if he could have got back to him, he would have spun him out. What's your take on those comments?
Um, Anything I saw that Christopher Bell did, I believe Joey would have done the same, if not worse. you know, um, Not to say that Joey would have wrecked him to get the lead, but I seen how far he shoved Martin Truex Jr. at Martinsville that day to win that race. So, um, I don't know. I just thought it was kind of odd seeing little, what was it, hypocritical is the right word or not? That um, I just, even in that race, Logano just about blocked him down to the inside line there a couple of times. So, um, anything that was, you could say that Bell did egregious, Logano, I would say, was kind of egregious in his blocking. To me, the racing was fair. I believe Bell really raced him as clean as he probably could to pass him with the conditions that the track would provide. I thought everything was fair in that moment.
So I'll start by saying that I because I'm a Logano fan, I see people just jump all over him all the time, and some of that is warranted. I'm not going to argue with it. Joey's a very aggressive race car driver. That's why he won 3 championships. I'll stand by that all the time, just because of his aggression. Now, if people were saying that, Joey's got no room to complain because this is how he races, and I largely do agree with that. The thing is, like I just said, I went back and rewatched it. Bell leaned on him pretty hard a couple times. He went up there and hit him in the door, which he's trying to move him out of his lane so he can't finish his corner the way that he wants to. And uh, that didn't get him by him. Chastain was coming on the high side. Joey got back in front of him. Uh, Bell hit him twice in the next corner, just in the bumper, trying to get him to slide up out of the way. He didn't slide up out of the way. Bell went down and hit him in the door again, and they were side by side. Coming off the next corner, Joey drove him way down to the inside to try to shorten up uh, Bell's entry into the corner. And it actually, Bell did more things to Joey than I realized he did in the moment when I rewatched it, but it wasn't anything that was like, you got to be kidding me, Christopher Bell. You know what I mean? Like, he definitely raced him hard and there was some contact, but like Joey said, he goes, "Oh, he put me in the wall." Well, Joey never made contact with the wall. Like, Bell never put him in the wall. He moved him out of his lane and he came close to the wall, but that part never happened. So I don't have it's hard to defend Joey being I get he's being upset because like had a really fast car, didn't win the race. And I think really he's just mad at Paul Wolf and he can't say that he's mad at Paul Wolf, and that's why he's taking it out on everybody else here. But with that being said, like, Bell's a fairly clean race car driver. I got no issue with him. And with the moves that he put on Joe, I wouldn't have been upset if Joey got back to him and knocked him out of the way. But if he had spun him out or like crashed him, I would have had to hang my head on that one. But I think that the based on the moves that Bell pulled, while they're totally justified, I got no issue with them. That if Joey got back to him and moved him out of the way, I would have no problem with that either. That being any cars that were racing each other.
Yeah, I mean, you saw what Joey did at Darlington to William Byron as a payback. So I just, to me, if Joey did get back to him, it probably would have been more egregious than I believe what Bell did. I mean, I can't guarantee that anymore because it didn't happen, but I just felt like it just kind of felt like it's a one-sided deal between the two. If Logano's behind you, he's gonna take you out and make sure you can't get back. And if somebody does it to him, it's foul to him. So that's how I kind of been seeing it. But I just feel like Logano shouldn't have anything to be upset about.
Yeah, like I said, I largely agree with that. Although I will defend the move at Darlington. Byron did put him in the wall. Like Byron drove him into the corner, or into the wall off of two, and then Joey did. He really didn't even wreck him. It's just he hit him really hard going into three and four, and he did end up spinning, but it's not like he hooked him in the fence or anything like that.
We can agree to disagree.
Okay. Um, anything else from this race that you wanted to cover there?
That's all I got.
That's really all I got too. I again thought it was a really good race. Was happy with how everything turned out, minus the actual winner. Obviously wanted to see Logano win instead of Bell, not just because you picked him, but where do we go next? Oh, it's the Coke 600 next week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wondered what was coming up next there. Crown Jewel event. Looking forward to that. Larson's going to be pulling the double. I'm sure you'll be watching him and hugging your Kyle Larson teddy bear or whatever you do when you watch Larson run other series. Uh, but yeah, that'll be an interesting storyline to follow, and hopefully he's end up able to make it back for the green flag.
Hope so.
All right, well, we appreciate everybody who watches, listens, tunes in to hear Ryan agree to disagree with me, and whatever else gets discussed here in the garage area every week. And we will talk to you guys after the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte.